Welcome back to Quarantine Apologetics, Defending the Faith While Under Lockdown. I'm Alan Rule. There's a question each time I meet someone for the first time and I find out they're Catholic. There's a question I always like to ask. And from this question, you can find the caliber of, I don't want to judge anyone, but you can tell a lot about people, Catholics, who, by answering this question, I'll tell you the question. Who is your favorite pope in the last 200 years? That's a question. For example, I once had an Italian roommate. And of course, he didn't go to church. He considered himself Catholic. Every time before he eats, he'd always make the sign of the cross and say something in Italian. And he, for example, I asked him who his favorite pope was. He's like, Francesco. Francis. So, yeah, like if someone says Francis, you know you're in trouble. Now, a lot of people will say John Paul II. And this, well, it's a step up from Francis, is still problematic. Let me show you something that George Weigel said. George Weigel is a very popular American author. He's written a biography of John Paul II, and a few years ago, I think in 2013, he came out with this book, Evangelical Catholicism. I know, only Weigel would name a book this. Okay, now, page 120, he talks about making bishops, and he names a whole bunch of bishops of the church. He says, quote, "It would be a serious mistake bordering on heresy to think that God is any less generous in gifts of grace bestowed on the church of the 21st century than was the case when the church was blessed with such great bishops as Ambrose and Augustine, Athanasius and John Chrysostom, Charles Borromeo and John Fisher, Francis de Sales and Alphonsus Curie, Ildefonso Schuster, and Clemens von Galen, Stefan Wisniewski, Andrzej Szeptyński, and Karol Wojtyła, close quote. Karol Wojtyła is John Paul II's actual name. And, guys, if you're going to put Karol Wojtyła in the same category as Augustine and John Fisher and Francis de Sales, Alphonsus Liguori, John Paul II. Obviously, that's problematic. So when I talk with fellow Catholics and ask them their favorite pope in the last 200 years, a lot will say Pius X. My priest says Pius XII. Some say Leo XIII. That means they're probably very academic. Mine is Pius IX. Pius IX is actually the longest reigning pope in history. For almost 32 years. John Paul II was pretty high. He was about 27 years, but Pope Pius IX was 31 years. Amazing pope. He was pope from 1846 to 1878. He was pope when the Papal States fell to the demonic Freemasonic army of Giuseppe Garibaldi. So yeah, that's a good question. Of how you can know what kind of Catholic you're talking to. Ask them their favorite pope in the last 200 years. If they say Francis, you're in trouble. If they say John Paul II, you're in trouble. If they say Benedict XVI, trouble. Paul VI, trouble. Anyway, hopefully it's one of the Piuses. There's a lot of good Piuses. Pius IX, Pius X, Pius XI, Pius XII. Amazing popes. Technically, Pope Pius VIII is within the last 200 years. And he was only pope for 20 months, but he has an amazing encyclical. I can't remember the name of it, but 20 months, and he did so much. So, I just want to say, that's a question. Favorite pope in the last 200 years. And for all the Catholics watching this, put your favorite pope in the last 200 years in the comments, and I won't judge. Anyway, stay safe, stay healthy, pray the rosary, and God bless.